Bum, bum, bum. It's the Fifth Down Podcast. You don't see it in the NFL. You don't see it anywhere else, but you're seeing it right here today. How we doing? My name's Zach.
I'm Colin. What's up, everybody?
It's the Fifth Down Podcast, baby. Let's get right into it. Antonio Brown filed of sexual assault and rape. Oh my goodness. He can just not get his name out of the news.
He cannot. But let's not get into that quite yet. He's not even on the Raiders anymore. He is on the New England Patriots now. We thought the saga was over once he picked his helmet. Not quite. He got into a little beef with Mayock. He posted his fine on Instagram. Then he posted his phone call with Gruden on Instagram. And then he got his release. And he signed with who else but the New England Patriots? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I guess you just go look up on Google, how do I get released? Or hey, maybe even hire a social media, consultant. I bet they'll tell you how to do it. And he followed all the steps, and guess what? He got it done. Because guess what? He knew that Steelers weren't going to trade him to the Patriots, obviously. So, Patriots offered the Steelers a first rounder. And guess what? They took the third and fifth from the Raiders. Raiders look stupid now because they've taken a third from Martavis Bryant and given the third to the Steelers now. He didn't work out. Now they just lost the third and fifth. That's 3 draft picks to Steelers receivers. Guys, I'm seeing a trend. If Steelers trade Juju to Raiders, don't think it's going to be good, okay?
Yeah. And then as you brought up, he was filed for sexual assault and rape. So that's 3 different times that it happened. I don't really want to go into it too much, but as you said, he cannot keep his name out of the news. How long do you think he stays on the Patriots?
Well, the Patriots already made their BS statement of we're looking into this thoroughly and we will make sure Antonio is making good decisions for the better of mankind, obviously. Saying the PR stuff they have to say. Guess what? All NFL teams are going to do whatever they can in their power to let their players play as long as, the general public, agrees with that decision. So I see AB playing this week, quite frankly.
Yeah, but do you see him playing the whole year, or do you see something happening where he just doesn't work out?
I do not see him meshing with the Patriots well. You look up Belichick. He's one of the hardest run coaches in the league in terms of how they run their team. But also one thing we got to take into into account is the fact that he did it with Randy Moss, and it worked. So, it'll be a fun ride to see. AB is always a fun guy to watch and read about in the news.
Yeah, definitely. So that was pretty much the only big news that has happened since we had our biggest podcast. Or since we had the first podcast.
The biggest.
Yeah, the biggest. But we're going to keep getting bigger as we keep going.
Yep.
But what else happened this week? Week 1 happened in this last week. So let's get right into it. We're going to go over what happened in each and every one of the games. And we'll get to our picks for this coming week. So we're starting on the Thursday night game, which was boring. And I can say that I watched the whole thing because I couldn't bear to watch it. And speaking of the Bears, we both picked the Bears and they lost. Aaron Rodgers went into Soldier Field and just took the life out of him, and the Packers beat the Bears. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to disagree. I don't think Aaron Rodgers took the life out of him. I think that defense. I mean, we saw some great additions come in. Mm-hmm. We saw Smith, both the Smiths, the linebacker and the defensive end, come in and completely dominate the game. It was a beautiful sight. We saw Blake Martinez, the middle linebacker, come down, lock down that offense, make Mitchell Trubisky look like a fool.
Yeah, he was horrible.
I just love to think about how they could add Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, and they're stuck with Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, you just got to feel bad for that Chicago offense because what that defense does is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So it was a very low-scoring game. For all my defensive fans out there, I'm sure you loved it. Mm-hmm. For the offensive superpowers, like Colin likes to see with his Rams, probably didn't like it as much, but everybody's got to love a good show of defense, and we saw that from the Packers that night.
Yeah, and as you said last week, and everyone seems to say it around football season, defense wins championships. So if you can come out there and you can compete with a good defense and you throw out at least a little bit of good offense, you can go out and go win games, just as the Packers did right there. So moving on to the game that I cared most about, which was the Rams at the Panthers.
Oof, a close one, huh?
It was a close one, but I think the Rams had it in control at the majority of the game. They did pull it out, and they won 30-27. But I want to look at some things, and we talked about it a couple days ago. Goff played horrible. He only had 186 yards. He was 23 for 39 and one interception. But here's the big thing. He was forcing passes left and right. And he had guys that were wide open multiple times, and he was not throwing it to them, and he was trying to force them into like short situations that made zero sense. Going off of that, Gurley had a very slow start, and then went to Malcolm Brown, and then went back to Gurley. Gurley ended up with 97 yards. Brown had 53 yards with 2 touchdowns. But the thing I like to look at is the three-headed monster at wide receiver. Woods, Kupp, and Cooks, they were back together for the first game. Had over 155 yards together. So, I mean, it's not a bad start together with their first game back since Kupp's injury and everything like that. But the big thing on defense, Corey Littleton had a great game. 14 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception. What were your thoughts on this game?
Well, I loved watching the Panthers defense just lock down that offense. Quite frankly, I think the Panthers would have won if it wasn't for the Panthers, giving the ball to the Rams at the 4-yard line, and they got an easy run in for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a 3-point game, a lot closer than anybody expected it really to be. And we also saw just a great show of defense from the Panthers, and I think the offense just could not get things going in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey just single-handedly carried that offense. I've never been a big fan of Cam, and Cam hasn't given me any reason to to hop on his train anytime soon. So yeah.
Yeah, McCaffrey was unbelievable, and he was the only reason I was scared that the Rams were going to lose that game, because he was unbelievable, and he continues to prove why he is a dynamic back in the NFL.
It's Matthew Berry's guy. He has him ranked number 1 every week, and we're seeing why.
So moving on to the next game, which was your Browns.
The most surprising game of the week, guys. I could not believe I couldn't even fathom watching this game, because I'd put my heart and soul into Baker, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, OBJ, and David Njoku. And they absolutely failed me. I mean, are you kidding me? 43-13. Baker went at 285 yards, a touchdown. Not too horrible, but 3 interceptions.
And he got sacked 5 times. He had a 27.2 total QBR. If I was to tell you that the Titans were going to win 43-13 last week, you would have said I was crazy.
I would have bet my life on it. And
I would have said I was crazy.
I know.
This was unbelievable, and there's a lot of no one really knows what's going on in Cleveland now.
Mariota MVP maybe, huh?
That's a little too much too fast.
I mean, you dropped 248, 3 touchdowns on my Browns defense. I'm going to respect you.
Yeah, right? No doubt. There was major respect there, and there's a lot of question marks in Cleveland right now. But there's one thing that everyone knows is going to happen next game. Odell Beckham is still going to wear that $350,000 watch.
Oh my goodness! I mean, what are you doing? Everybody knows that you're one of the highest paid receivers in the league. You don't need to watch to show off. Okay, it's unneeded chaos in an organization. It's not what GMs like to see, what coaches like to see. They like to see just everything focused on football. And when you bring all this other crap into it, it really messes with the game.
Yeah, no doubt. So moving on to a game that was just absolutely crazy. It was an absolute blowout. The Ravens beat the Dolphins 59-10. And the crazy thing about this was after the game, there were reports that multiple Dolphins players contacted their agents asking to be traded. What are your thoughts?
I mean, heck, I would too. If I didn't believe in my coach, if I didn't believe in what my team was doing, if they thought they were just throwing it away, I don't care how much money I'm getting paid. No one wants to go through that. That is just pure depression of going through a football season, knowing that your team is not even putting their best foot forward. I guess they were going in with a scheme that was only going to block the run. So Lamar just aired it out, and the guy caught it. That's basically how it worked, I believe. 5 passing touchdowns. 2 of them went to Marquise Brown. We
147 yards from Marquise Brown on 4 catches.
It was just an absolute air raid. We saw Mark Andrews put up some good numbers too. So just an absolute air raid. I'm interested to see what the Dolphins are going to do if they're actually going to start committed to this team, because they have the opportunity to. Yeah. They have some good pieces. All right, they got Minka Fitzpatrick and Xavier Howard in their DB backfield. So
It'll be interesting to watch. As I said last week, the Dolphins were my pick to go 0-16. not a good start for them, but a great start for my prediction. Moving on to the next game that it was kind of a toss up between the Falcons and the Vikings when we were thinking about it, but the Vikings just totally pulled ahead and won 28-12. Kirk Cousins actually won a decent game against a mediocre team. Matt Ryan proved time and time again that he is not as good as he used to be. 2 interceptions, and he did have 304 yards, but the 2 interceptions and he only helped put up 12 points. Absolutely ridiculous. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, it was pretty sad.
Mhm.
We watched the Falcons just get absolutely demolished. Their run defense showed no sign of life at all.
Mhm.
We saw Dalvin Cook just run right through him. Grady Jarrett, that new defensive, not new, but he just got a new contract.
Mhm.
That defensive tackle was
Mhm.
supposed to be holding down the fort on the D line, and we did not see that from him or any of the other guys on
Yeah.
defense. Quite frankly,
Mhm.
it was a pretty sad showing, but a very promising showing for the Vikings as they
Mhm.
look to get revamped with their running back, and
Mhm.
also really get Kirk Cousins in his second year of this system that they're
Mhm.
doing over with Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to a game that was played in New York, the Bills and the Jets. It was absolutely just a turnover-ridden game. Josh Allen had multiple interceptions, and it was just brutal to even look at. But I mean, the Bills pulled it out, 17-16. Sam Darnold had 175 yards passing, and Le'Veon Bell only had 60 yards on 17 carries. What do you think about this one? I mean, it's
Well,
tough to even look at.
it's simple right here. The Jets need a kicker. All
Yeah.
right. You're going to have these turnover
Mhm.
filled games where
Mhm.
offenses can just not really get going,
Mhm.
score 17-16, and you're going to need everywhere else to show up. You're going to need your defense to show up and your special teams. We saw the defense for the Jets show up. They're having a great game. We had 2 picks from Neville Hewitt and C.J. Mosley,
Mhm.
and a few sacks here and there as well. But quite frankly, the kicker could just not get the ball through the uprights. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Mhm.
We cannot miss field goals, and that's what cost the Jets the game.
Yeah, it's your job. You got to do it. But moving on to the next game, it was pretty exciting to watch it happen. I mean, Carson Wentz was back. Deshaun Jackson was back in the Eagles uniform, and he had a big game. The Eagles played the Redskins, and the Eagles pulled out a 32-27 W. And Case Keenum played for the Redskins, and he had 3 touchdowns, 380 yards. But the biggest thing that we wanted to talk about was Darius Geis. Such high hopes for this year. After last year tearing his ACL, didn't get to play in his rookie year, but he's hurt again. And what does this mean for Adrian Peterson?
Well, I mean, Adrian Peterson's going to come back. He's going to be put right into that first and second down running back spot where we'll see Chris Thompson man in third downs on the pass game. But it's really a sad thing because the Redskins just can never catch a break with their running backs. 1 or 2 always seem to go down every year, whether it was Rob Kelly, whether it was Darius Geis last year. We saw Alfred Morris go down a few years ago. So they just cannot catch a break and get a running back going. It's a sad thing, but however, we did see a lot of promise from that offense. We saw the Redskins dominate the first 3 quarters. Eagles made a comeback, as we saw pretty much coming the whole game. We knew the Eagles were going to pull it out just because it's the Eagles. But the Redskins really showed out for those first 3 quarters. It was pretty promising. We saw Terry McLaurin go 5 receptions, 125 yards and a TD.
Ohio State, probably.
So yeah, very promising.
Very promising. Speaking of promising, the Kansas City Chiefs look like they didn't skip a beat. I mean, 40-26 victory over Jacksonville. The Jacksonville defense that is supposed to be so good was just not good at all. Mahomes, 378 yards, 3 touchdowns. You throw in Sammy Watkins, who came out of nowhere, 9 receptions, 198 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Looks like Tyreek Hill got some karma for all the crap he's been doing in his free time. So it looks like he'll be out a few weeks. And then we also saw Baker Mayfield Jr. come in.
Yeah.
Mr. Gardner Minshew himself,
I
my
love
boy
that
from
guy.
Wazoo. Go
Yeah.
Cougs, baby, huh?
Yeah.
So he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
We liked what we saw from him. 275, 2 touchdowns. showed no signs of slowing down without
Mm-hmm.
Foles. I don't think the game would have been that much different if Foles had stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
26 points. You score 26 points, you expect to win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe the number is around 20. That if you score 20 points, you expect to win. Well, guess what? When you allow 40, you're never gonna win.
Yeah.
So we just really, and the Chiefs have a powerhouse offense, of course, but I expected more from that Jags defense, and we just did not see it.
Yeah. No doubt. But I mean, I'm really excited to see Gardner Minshew play these next couple weeks. He was really fun to watch in Mike Leach's offense at Wazoo, but I mean, now he gets to come out here and play in the NFL and get an opportunity. So I'm really excited to see that happen. Moving on to a guy that was not expecting to be playing as a starting quarterback this year, Jacoby Brissett. The Indianapolis Colts almost came back and beat Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, but they failed to win in overtime as the Chargers scored a touchdown to finish it off. What are your thoughts? I mean, the Chargers, they look good. Austin Eckler looked great. They looked like they didn't skip a beat without Melvin Gordon. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it, but he had a solid game.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Melvin Gordon's probably punching air right now. Now that he's watching both of his backup running backs really put on a show. No signs of slowing down, like you say. We got Austin Eckler with how many touchdowns? 3 touchdowns and an unbelievable fantasy performance. We saw Justin Jackson with a solid game, averaging 9.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And we saw Keenan Allen put on a show as he usually does, but we also did see. We just learned Hunter Henry is going to be out for some time, which is a sad thing because we just saw him come back, had a promising game, 4 receptions, 60 yards, and we also saw Mike Williams get injured. So I mean, we're watching, and now they just got rid of Tyrell Williams this offseason. So now all of a sudden, they're down 2 of the receivers that they had last year and a tight end. You know what that means? I guess Antonio Gates could be making a comeback, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No doubt. I think so. Might as well. On the other side of the ball,
hot take.
Hot take, no doubt. On the other side, for the Colts, I really like Marlon Mack, 174 yards. They're going to need him to take on that role, especially without Andrew Luck. Jacoby Brissett's going to need a guy to lean on, not necessarily throwing the ball, but in the run game. Marlon Mack took that on. But the Colts, as we said, did not come out on the winning side. This one was a shocker, though. Bengals-Seahawks. Bengals couldn't hold on. Seahawks won 21-20. The Bengals were winning almost the whole entire game. But the Seahawks pulled it out. And DK Metcalf actually had somewhat of a solid game. And it seemed like Russell Wilson's the new number 1 guy.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think Metcalf could be legit. Not quite the receiver everybody's panning him out to be in terms of, grabbing every single ball thrown up in the air and just plowing through guys. But I think he's going to be a solid go-to guy for Russell over in Seattle. The Bengals were my pick to go in 16. I don't see that happen. I saw a lot of promise on this team, actually, quite frankly. I didn't see Dalton, leading the league in passing yards after week 1. 418 passing yards, 2 TDs. Mixon went out early, so we saw Bernard come in, really not do much, not much going in the running game. But guess what? Dalton and family took care of it in the passing game.
Yeah.
John Ross, 7 receptions, 158 yards, 2 TDs. He is back on the board. It's good to see. We saw 2 years of just utter disappointment. Now we're seeing John Ross make a comeback, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah. And then we move into the later slate of games that were on Sunday. Cowboys-Giants. Ezekiel Elliott played 53 yards, 1 touchdown. But the bright spot for the Cowboys that game was Dak Prescott. 25 for 32, 405 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Pay the man.
I mean, why not? You just paid Zeke. Who did just pay?
They paid a ton. DeMarcus Lawrence.
DeMarcus
guys
Lawrence.
Like that.
Yep. They're paying everybody except they still got Dak and they still got Amari. So they gotta lock those guys down. We see that they're cornerstones in that offense. Michael Gallup. Wow, what a great pick we saw from the 3rd round out of Colorado State. Now coming to make 7 receptions, 158 yards. Amari Cooper putting up another 100 yards. So we saw 200-yard receivers, as well as good production from both tight ends who scored touchdowns. We saw Dak really spread out the ball to Elliott, Cooper, Cobb, Jarwin, and Whitson for touchdowns. So everybody got a slice of the pie.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot that Jason Witten was even back in the NFL. So when I was watching that game and I saw Witten scored a touchdown, I was like, wow.
Hey, he pulled a Greg Olsen.
Yes, he did. But on the other side,
Saquon.
almost one of the only bright spots for the Giants. I mean, Saquon Barkley, 11 carries, 120 yards. I mean, is it time for Eli to go?
It's been time. We saw Daniel Jones come in and complete 3 or 4 passes. So that was a very promising, probably the best quarterback play we saw from the whole game, quite frankly. Watching Eli is just brutal every single time. I just cannot take it. The amount of 3 and outs that we're seeing from Eli is just unbelievable. But however, we did see a good game from Evan Ingram, really helping out Eli being that go-to guy that he needs.
Yeah, definitely. And then we moved to the tie. This was the deciding factor in our Week 1 pick'em. We both ended at 11-16.
A tie.
But the Cardinals and Lions were the difference. I had the Cardinals, Zach had the Lions. But this game ended at 27-27. Kyler Murray was awful in the first 3 quarters of the game. But then he absolutely turned it on and ended with 308 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the other bright spot in that game was Matthew Stafford, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. Stafford is sitting at 3rd in the passing yards so far. I get it's only week 1. But another bright spot was rookie TJ Hawkinson, 6 receptions, 131 yards. He led the Lions in receiving, and he had 1 touchdown. What are your thoughts on this tie? I mean, this is the 2nd year in a row we've seen a tie in week 1.
Really?
Yes.
It was last year's week 1 tie.
I forget off the top of my head. I think it was like Packers. No, it wasn't Packers. I mean, it's not a big deal, but there was a tie last year.
Hey, great knowledge, Dixon. Yeah. Anyways, we see that Matthew Stafford has a lot of options. We see Kerryon Johnson as a receiving back possibly, and also C.J. Anderson as the true workhorse running back that he can be. And so then we also see in the receiving game T.J. Hawkinson, Amendola, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Galladay. That's 4 solid receiving players for the Lions. So, it's going to be a bright future I see for the Lions if they can get that defense going with a newly acquired Trey Flowers.
Yeah.
Cardinals side, Kyler Murray, like you said, didn't get it really going until the 4th quarter. We have 18 points. You score 18 points in the 4th quarter, you're probably going to come out pretty well if you're able to make that type of comeback. And they did. They got the tie that they were looking for. Maybe not looking for, but they got a tie.
So, to go back on that, it was the Browns-Steelers week 1. The Browns missed that field goal to win the game.
I remember that. They had that Zane Gonzalez situation.
Yep. And then moving on to the game after that, your Niners went into Tampa Bay.
And demolished them. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? 31-17. 2 touchdown game. I get it. The Niners looked a bit sloppy here and there. It's week 1. We're still ironing out some things. But guess what? When you get 3 interceptions and return 2 of them for touchdowns, you're gonna be in pretty good shape. So the offense really didn't have to do much. Saw subpar performance from my boy Jimmy G, but I'm not worried.
Yeah.
We're gonna see him bounce back here in Cincinnati. The team's staying in Youngstown, Ohio, right now, getting ready where Eddie DeBartolo has his facility. So I'm trusting the process. Just a little, foreshadow. Niners by at least 10 points this week against the Bengals.
Yeah, we'll go over that very, very soon. But the Buccaneers, dude, Jameis Winston, it's almost like he's trying to throw to the other team. He looked horrific.
I know.
I mean, when they were trying to come back, he could just not do it. I mean, what was it? 194 yards, 20 for 36, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, you got to give it to the Niners defense.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, if he's
27 fantasy points, the best fantasy defense in the league, and guess who had him in DraftKings?
You did.
Thank
well,
you.
Good for you. So moving into that Sunday night game, which, I mean, we weren't expecting to be a great game, but the Patriots absolutely obliterated the Steelers 33-3, and they didn't even have Antonio Brown during that game. It was, I mean, for Patriots fans, it was great to see. For the rest of the league, it was kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the 3-headed monster earlier on the Rams. We're going to see this on the Patriots more so, I believe, with Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon, and Antonio Brown. Oh, my goodness. Immense talent. Running the ball, we got James White, Rex Burkhead, and Sony Michel, and yours truly, Tom Brady at quarterback. 341, 3 touchdowns. Absolutely teared up that Steelers defense, which is a solid defense, a well-coached team. This is real, but the thing is, the Steelers always get off to a slow start, like we've seen in the past, and they always seem to iron things out. Once you start getting in midseason form. So we're gonna see what happens. But wow, the Patriots. What a surprise! We did not see the Patriots blowing the Steelers out like this. Connor could not get going. Juju and Ben could not get going. It was just an utter disappointment on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for them is getting Juju going because last year they had Brown and Juju. That's why Juju has been so great because he's had Brown on the other side. Now Juju has to be the number one guy, and he's never had to be like that in the NFL. So I think that's going to be very tough for them, but once they can figure that out, I hope and I can see them doing well.
Yeah, they're going to need guys like Moncrief and Washington to really step up to get this offense rolling.
Yeah, no doubt. But then moving into probably what was the most exciting game
of the week,
the Saints and the Texans. The Texans were almost in control the whole entire time, but then the Saints took the lead. Deshaun Watson led them all the way down, scored a touchdown. The Texans thought they had it. But you can't count out Drew Brees, even if it's less than a minute left. And Lutz kicked it through the uprights and won in week 1. Pretty exciting Monday Night Football. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, anytime you see a 58-yarder game winner, it's going to be exciting. We saw that from Will Lutz, like you say. I was at work when this game was happening. My coworkers were like, Zach, look at this. The Texans are winning. I'm like, guys, don't worry. The Saints are going to come back and win. It's what they do. Right? We saw it just the Texans offensive line absolutely break down. It was horrendous to watch Watson go down 5 times and the amount of QB hits he took. You cannot do this to a young quarterback like him, especially coming off a huge torn ACL injury. So, they're going to need to protect him. Yeah. They traded for the first rounder for Laramie Tunsil. That's not enough, though. They're going to need some interior help. Definitely. And so, they got their quarterback. They got some good running backs with Hyde and Johnson, and they got some great receivers with Hopkins and Fuller.
Hopkins is unbelievable,
Oh, my goodness. You throw that ball anywhere, and he's going to catch it.
Yeah, no doubt. So moving on to the other Monday Night Football game. The other Monday Night Football game, the Raiders went in and they beat the Broncos. Joe Flacco was horrible. Derek Carr had a pretty solid game. 259 yards and 1 touchdown, 22 for 26. Not too bad, but the bright spot for the Raiders was Josh Jacobs. 85 yards and a couple touchdowns for the rookie. They look good, but the Broncos look very bad.
Yeah, on the Broncos side of the ball, we just saw, an utter collapse in the passing offense. 268 yards and a touchdown. And we only saw really Sutton perform very well in that offense with 7-120. But the Raiders defense looked pretty average, and the Broncos definitely had a lot of opportunities to score, and they did not take advantage of it. Just in both facets, they could not get down to the goal line and punch one in. It seemed like a field goal here, a field goal there, and ultimately
was getting his work.
Ultimately, the Raiders were able to take care of business.
Yeah, no doubt. So that was our little review of week 1. But week 2 starts tomorrow. And basically today, because this will be coming out on a Thursday.
Tampa at Carolina.
Yep. Panthers are 6.5 point favorite.
What a shit show.
Who do you got?
I'm taking the Carolina, especially after getting the first-hand play of the Buccaneers this week. We saw how absolutely corrupt they were. They were as corrupt as Hillary. Come on.
Okay.
They were just absolutely compromised. I'm sorry about that. Didn't mean to. But honestly, the Buccaneers 3 interceptions. Their defensive line could not get going, and then stop the run game. Just nothing was really going for them. And we saw the Panthers really put on a good showing with their defense, especially. So I'm looking at a big blowout tomorrow night.
Yeah, me too. I like the Panthers as well. McCaffrey had a huge game against the Rams defense. The Buccaneers defense is nowhere close to the Rams defense. I see McCaffrey having an even bigger day. I think Cam can feel a little more comfortable because I don't think there will be as much pressure on him. His arm is finally okay. He looked like he could actually sling the ball a little bit last week. But, the Panthers, I think, roll on Thursday night, and the Buccaneers put up absolutely no shot. I think if you're betting on this game, easily take the Panthers 6.5. That should be an easy win. Moving on to the next game, your Niners play at the Bengals. I know you touched on it a little bit beforehand, but I'm pretty sure you're taking the Niners in this game.
And let me tell you why. All right, the Niners are going to be well rested, well prepared. They did not go back home, like I said. They went up to Ohio. They're staying there for the week. So they're not changing time zones. It's like they're playing a home game almost practically. Just no crowd. And we saw what the Bengals did week one. Pretty impressive, but guess what? My Niners are going to come in and absolutely roll them over on both sides of the ball. That defense just looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take care of Mixon if he plays. They're going to take care of Dalton. They're going to take care of Ross. I don't care who you put in that defense is just going to shred that offense to pieces. If I'm worried about anything, I'm worried about that offense putting up good numbers. But guess what? I think they're going to do enough against that really subpar Bengals defense. All they really got is that on that defensive line, Sam Hubbard and Geno Atkins. Once you get past there, you do not see much talent.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm excited to watch my Niners go roll over those Bengals. Like I said, it's going to be a 2-touchdown game just like last week.
So the funny thing to me is that the Bengals are 2-point favorites in this game. I was kind of shocked to see that. But, my big thing is my aunt's a huge Bengals fan. So we're riding with the Bengals.
You're riding with the Bengals.
We're riding with the Bengals.
I want to slap you right now.
No.
I cannot wait. When we do this podcast next week, guys, I cannot wait to rub this in his face. I'm going to call up his aunt, too, and say, hey, sorry, Dalton can't do much.
Okay, none of that. But I'm going with the Bengals. Moving on to the next game. Chargers and the Lions. The Chargers are a little bit injury-ridden, but the Lions are coming off that tie. Who do you got?
Chargers, Lions. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what I saw from their offense. Their defense was pretty solid as well, but we obviously saw some holes in there. They just had to sign Dante Johnson at cornerback. That's how thin they are. When you sign Dante Johnson, you're thin at cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? They got Bosa and Ingram manning down the D line. See the Chargers going in there. It's going to be a good game because I like the Lions as well, but I think the Chargers are going to pull it out in the end.
Yeah, me too. I got the Chargers. I mean, the Lions competed with the Cardinals. It's not like it's a top-tier team in the NFL. I see the Chargers going in. They aren't necessarily a top-tier team, but they're around the top. And I see the Chargers going in and rolling the Lions. Going into a next game, it's a big rivalry game. It'll be fun to watch. Vikings-Packers. Kirk Cousins brings the Vikings onto the road to Lambeau Field. I think the Packers are going to take this one. I think they keep rolling, and they go 2-0. Kirk Cousins, he's so average, man. He's so average. And after a good game last week, I just don't see him going in and having a great game against the Packers.
And guess what? If you looked at the score, you probably would have thought Kirk Cousins had a great game
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And what did they win? 28-12.
Mm-hmm.
Blown them out for the majority of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Kirk Cousins was 8 for 10.
Mm-hmm.
It was not him. It was Dalvin Cook who absolutely took over that game. To my
Mm-hmm.
surprise. And I'm gonna agree with you, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Packers. I love what I saw from that defense. I think they're gonna handle the passing game adequately. And I think they're gonna do an all right job against Dalvin Cook, but keep him below 100, keep him in touch. And that Rodgers and Co are gonna roll on to victory at Lambeau.
Yeah, no doubt. Then the biggest shocker who won last week, the Titans will be at home against the Colts. Titans are 3-point favorites. I'm kind of torn on this game. I really liked the Colts last week. They brought it to OT but couldn't finish it out. Titans kind of shocked everybody. But, I'm rolling with the Colts again. I'm not too big on the Titans. I need them to prove it to me again, so I'm going Colts.
And I'm going to take the Titans, and it's not too hard for me because guess what? If you can beat my Browns, then you can beat an abundance of other teams like the Colts in the league. It was an unbelievable showing of what they showed. Not only did they beat my Browns, they beat them by 30 points. Are you kidding me? The Titans are legit. Mariota, Henry, A.J. Brown. That offense is going to be a juggernaut possibly. And that defense has always been consistent. They were just looking for what they had on offense. I think Mariota's going to have a solid year this year.
Yeah, all right. We'll have to see. But going out of the next game, we aren't even going to put any time into it. Patriots, Dolphins. I mean, I get the Dolphins sometimes shock the Patriots in Miami, but the Dolphins are horrendous. I'm riding you in for the Patriots.
Yep. Hot take, though. Dolphins lose by less than they did to the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are 18-point favorites, but I'm not going with that.
18 points. Wow.
Yeah. Next game we're moving on. This will be a tough one. The Bills stay in New York. They're at the same stadium they played at last week. The Bills are at the Giants. Bills are 1.5-point favorites.
I'm gonna take the Bills, and it's not gonna be too hard for me when you see the Giants just really not able to get much going besides Saquon on offense, and that defense is just pretty disgusting, quite frankly. And the Bills are a solid football team. They're trying to figure some things out on offense, but they got a good defense, and that's what matters. And they're gonna come in and roll over the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about last week, we're both big Josh Allen guys. I thought the Jets were going to pull it out, but I think the Bills pull this one out. I mean, we talked about it. Eli is not the guy, and they're going to keep riding Eli. And if they keep riding Eli, they're going to keep taking L's, so I'm going Bills. Moving on to the next game. I think this will be a decent one. I think the Steelers try to bounce back. The Steelers got the Seahawks in Pittsburgh. Who do you got?
This is a tough one for me because I would have taken if I didn't see what happened in Week 1, I would have taken the Steelers easily. But guess what? I saw the Steelers absolutely just get rolled over by the Patriots, 33-3. And I watched the Seahawks, in a tough game, what looked to be a tough game against a pretty subpar opponent. So both teams really just did not perform what I expected to. But guess what? The Seahawks got the win. I understand they're going to Pitt, but I'm going to take the Seahawks. At the end of the day, they got talent on both sides of the ball. Where the Seahawks are just, the Steelers are looking pretty average on both sides of the ball after that last game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going with you on that one too. I like the Seahawks, but here's my reason why. They eventually got it going. The Steelers never got it going. And I think the Steelers will continue to not have it going. They got some things to figure out, and I don't think they're going to be able to figure it out against the Seahawks defense. So I'm going Seahawks. Next game, Cowboys-Redskins. I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going with the boys.
I'm taking the boys as well, but I don't think it's as easy as you think. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. First of all, it's in Washington. And second of all, the Redskins really showed up the Eagles for three-quarters of the game. I could not believe it. I like the Eagles in a Cowboys-Eagles game. I'm taking the Eagles, I think. So it was pretty surprising what I saw from the Redskins. I think they're going to put a good performance on for the Cowboys. I think they're not going to quite make it because the Cowboys got good talent on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, no doubt. Next game, the Ravens, who had a great game last week. I don't think they have as good of a game. It's not a great team that they're playing against in the Cardinals, but I think last week was it was just a big week. I don't think they can follow up how great of a performance that was. I still think the Ravens win. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens too. Cardinals, we're not seeing what we want to see on the defense side of the ball. And also, the offense looks pretty unpredictable. We liked what we saw from a fourth quarter in the OT. Really battled what you want to see from a rookie quarterback. But I think it's just still too unpredictable. It's still too early in where they are in developing with the new head coach as well. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
No doubt. Moving on to the next one. We're moving quick, which I like it. Jaguars at Texans. Gardner Minshew makes his first career start in the NFL. Who you got?
It's a tough one for me because I really want to go with Gardner.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I'm taking the Texans. As much as I don't want to, the Jaguars' defensive line should have run over the offensive line, but I think Deshaun's just able to scramble and really throw the ball up to D-Hop or Will Fuller, whichever one. They're going to catch the ball because they're so talented. They got a much better defense, I think, than we're looking at from last year. Some really great improvement. Though they did really get rid of Clowney. I still like what they have on defense with J.J. Watt really manning it down as well.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I like the Texans as well. I'm a huge Deshaun Watson guy. But, I mean, the Jaguars, they didn't really show up last week on the defensive side. Gardner Minshew, though, I'm very excited to see that happen. I just didn't see him putting together in his first start. Moving on to the game that I am the most excited about. It's the NFC Championship rematch. I know you're going to bring up the whole pass interference thing, but I'm so excited. I got work off to watch it. Rams-Saints in LA.
I can't not wait to watch the Rams have a worse record than the Niners for the first time in a long time. I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be beautiful.
Well, so I guess you're taking the Saints. I know you know who I'm taking. I'm
easily.
Easily? I do not think it'll be easily. I do not think it'll be easily.
By a touchdown.
By a touchdown. Wow, that was very bold of you. I think the Rams. I think the Rams come in with a little bit of chip on their shoulder, as the Saints will as well. But I think the Rams come in with a chip on their shoulder because.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Rams.
Oh!
Did you think I was not going to take the Rams? I'm taking the Rams in every single game this year. As you're going to take the Niners.
Wait, are they going 16-0? No, you see, I come on this podcast, and I do it for you guys. I do it for the viewers at home, watching with their families and friends, as an unbiased opinion. Because it's my job to play devil's advocate.
Says the one who put the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Oh, gosh. It's a legitimate pick, guys. I'm telling you.
Okay.
It's a legitimate pick.
We'll move on to the next game anyways. Chiefs at the Raiders.
The Raiders.
You got the Raiders?
No.
Yeah.
I just like to say it. We're going to take the Chiefs.
Yeah.
No Tyreek Hill, but that doesn't worry me. Raiders going to put up a good battle, though. It's in Oakland. Just, you don't bet against Mahomes. We learned that the hard way last week.
Yeah.
At least I did.
Yeah, you did. I chose the Chiefs, and he did well, very well for my fantasy team last week. So I'm rolling with the Chiefs. Keep moving quickly. Bears, Broncos. Broncos sucked last week. Same with the Bears, but I think the Bears bounced back.
Yep, the Bears suck less. Quite frankly, the Bears are a playoff team with that defense. And Broncos just did not do much against the Raiders, an average team at best. So we're going to see the Bears really blow out the Broncos, I think, by a couple touchdowns here.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, Eagles-Falcons. This one's a Sunday night game. Wentz had a great game last week. I think he rolls into the Falcons. I mean, Matt Ryan was not good again, and I just see the Eagles easily winning this one in the bird battle. Who do you got in the bird battle?
You know what? I see the Falcons turning it around, baby.
Okay.
Falcons are turning it around. Here we go. They're going to be pissed off. That's a damn good football team. And they're going to be pissed off from the Minnesota game. They're coming home, playing for that crowd in Atlanta, and they're going to show up the Eagles. It's going to be a beautiful show.
Wow.
Sunday night football for all to see.
Yeah, no doubt. I like it. I think it's going to be a good game. Definitely, any time they play each other, it's always a solid battle. Moving on to the Monday night game, the Browns, your Browns.
My Browns, baby.
Are going into New York. They're playing the Jets, Jets.
Oh, get out of here. You know what? Big Sean said it well when he said, last night took an L, but tonight I bounced back. Okay, and that's exactly what my Browns are going to do. Okay. They're going to bounce back. 30-point loss. They're going to be pissed off. They had high expectations for this season. Playoff hopes, Super Bowl dreams, maybe. Just like me. My Niners and my Browns playing. Which is still going to happen, by the way.
Okay.
But guess what? I'm watching the Browns come into New York and just absolutely roll over this Jets team. They're going to be hungry. They're my dogs. Okay? Yeah. And they're going to dog pound for life. Am I right? And they're going to roll over the Jets. Jets are a good football team, but guess what? The Browns, top 5. All right? I'm really feeling them come back. They'll be okay. I'm not worried.
Well, I'm going with the Jets. This was very hard for me. I wanted to take the Browns, but I like taking risks, and I like the Jets in this one. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling that the Jets are going to come out on top in this one. And yeah, so those were our week 2 picks. Next week we'll tell you how they go, and we'll do the same thing next week. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Horns up, baby.
Thank you very much. See you next year.